Do you ever notice that you wake up in the middle of the night and you're in the middle of the thought you went to sleep with? And it was as if you're continuing the thought you went to sleep with. What do you think was happening in that 5 hours in between? Think of it this way. So in your normal stress day, you're in beta, which is a brainwave. Okay. And if you're meditating, or you're having a calm moment or a quiet moment, you move into alpha. When you're approaching sleep, like in the hour before you're sleeping and you're getting a little drowsy and you're getting a little tired, you start moving into theta, which theta can be like a high state of creativity that you can get through in meditation. And it could be this like kind of falling asleep. When you feel sometimes that you almost like solve the problem unconsciously, that just like clicked as you're falling asleep. And then you go into delta, which is sleep. Now, that theta phase is actually a brainwashable phase. So we can insert thoughts, ideas that trigger emotions that can actually make you behave a certain way. But more importantly, we can actually put ideas and emotions in your head. So when you fall asleep to the TV, if the TV is sharing information with you that you don't want to live by, then you're allowing that near bedtime and when you wake up, both those times. And the same thing with email, if it's the last thing you're doing. So both those times, you're allowing information to go in when you're more vulnerable and when you're more open in your brain state. And then what your brain does is it takes that information and then it works on it all night. So if there's any toxicity that's suggested to you in that time, it's a suggestible phase, then your brain takes that and says, okay, let me work on that. Which is also why before you go to bed, like what does the people say? Do gratitude before you go to bed, forgive yourself, thank your day, all that, say your prayers right before you go to bed, because it's a time when you're suggestible. So then your brain takes that positive feeling and works on it all night. If I'm upset about something during the day, I will make a point of even staying up later, and I hate missing sleep. I'll even give up some sleep to meditate or do something that clears, because the worst thing is actually to go to bed with the stress. Because again, your brain doesn't know the difference. It's like, oh, that's what you want me to work on? Great. And so it'll mull on it. That's why you wake up at 3 o'clock and you're thinking. Do you ever notice that you wake up in the middle of the night and you're in the middle of the thought you went to sleep with? Like you wake up in the middle of the night and it was as if you're continuing the thought you went to sleep with. What do you think was happening in that 5 hours in between? Your brain was working on that. It was spinning on that. So then when you opened your eyes, like, oh yeah, remember you were really upset about this before you went to bed. So let's continue. Don't worry about what your mind is telling you about that. Like, oh, say the opposite. Well, your mind's going to say, well, it's not the opposite. It doesn't matter, because it's just, you have to remember your brain is just in an input phase. It'll take whatever you're giving it. Theta is not a stage that actually challenges, right? It's a stage that just like takes in the information.